Good morning, Jill. How are you this morning?
Good morning, good evening.
Nice to hear your voice. How are
I'm
you?
good. It's good to hear your voice too. How are you doing?
Fine. It's a very cold day, but the sun is shining, and this is beautiful because everything is so clear. The air is clear, and the colors are clear. And how it is where you are?
Well, we're sharing a cold day, but we're not sharing the sunshine. We still have some snow flurries. It snowed a little bit yesterday. It was so pretty, but it's really cold here.
Oh, so we're wishing you that the spring will come soon.
Yes, that'll
Yeah.
be awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I would like to open with you if you have an access to the whiteboard. I would like to open the session with you.
Okay, I have it open.
Good. This is from Exodus 20. And this text is after we read the Ten Commandments and what is the response of the people and of Moses after the Ten Commandments are being read. So are the letters, let me make them clear
Yeah.
and focused here.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And all the people perceived the thunderings and the lightnings and the voice of the horn and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they trembled and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before you, that ye sin not. And the people stood afar off, but Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was.
Thank you so much for reading. And I would like us to focus here in one word. The English says thick darkness, and I would like to approach. I'll take the pen and explain this in Hebrew. 1 second. 1 second. Here. The word here is 1 second. We have another guest. I will open the 1 second. Good morning, Fernando. We're very happy that you're here this morning. Jill here is in class, and another person is listening. Patrick is listening. Thank you so much. Fernando, can you hear us?
Shalom, Eti. Shalom, Jill and Andrea. Good evening and good morning.
Nice to hear your voice, Fernando. How is the weather in Brazil today?
And thank you, Eti. It's good to hear you. And the weather is a little better today. Yesterday was the hottest day of the year around here, but we have some rain, so now it's just fine. And how are the things in Israel and in Haifa?
Thank you so much for asking. It is the coldest week so far in the year. It's like the North Hemisphere. Also, Jill shared with us this morning. They have a bit of snow and a cold day. So this is winter in the North Hemisphere, like it is summer. It in the South Hemisphere. Those are opposite points, and those are very, very cold nights here in Israel. And since in Israel there is no central heating, we are awake at night.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. There is no central heating, so the walls, since Israel is built in the area which most of the year is warm, so everything is built to chill. The problem is in the winter when the walls are just radiating humidity and cold, and we're just awake all night. But this is part of the life here.
Can I ask you a question, Etty?
Yes, sure, Jill.
What is the temperature when it's cold there?
Last night it was 4 degrees Celsius. I don't know in Fahrenheit.
Wow.
I don't know in Fahrenheit 4 degrees Celsius, but how do you say, at zero, this is snow. So we are 4 steps, 4 degrees above snow.
Okay, so
Uh,
that's 39 degrees for us. And yesterday it was snowing and it was 32 degrees here.
you see, so it's approaching snow, but there is no central heating. It's everything is quite interesting here, I would say. If you don't take it too serious, you can really say, okay, this is the adventure of winter here.
Wow, it.
Yes.
I hope it gets a little hotter these days and it passes
Yes.
fast this winter.
Thank you
I,
so much. And this, yes, Jill?
I agree with Fernando. I hope that it warms up for you.
Thank you so much. And this is why it is so interesting that we mentioned in our previous conversations about the blossom of the almond tree. Though it's approaching snow and the temperature of snow, this is the only tree that takes its flowers out. It's 90 days before spring comes. So this is why it is so important. It's not our topic today. Why the Aaron rod is blooming with almond? Because people who are chosen to serve public, they don't experience seasons. I mean, their season is the almond blossom. There's the tree of life perspective, this and the unconditional one. In the tree of life, there's always spring. So was a little forward to this conversation, and this is a very special day here in Israel. Also, this is the celebration or the holidays of trees and nature. This is once in a year, in this time of the year when everything is forced, we celebrate the holiday for the tree. So, if you have questions or impressions, please share with us.
Just ready to follow you, if you could say about this new year of the trees, because um, every new we have like two new years in the calendar, in the Jewish calendar, usually, right, for humans, let's say. But what does it mean, the new year for the trees? And because it seems that all the Rosh Hashanah, all the head of the year, had a potential, let's say, for the year,
Yes.
for the all year.
Yes. So it's a very good question, because according to the Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud, there are four head of the years. There are four times, like four seasons. You can look at it like this. There are four heads of the year. There is like Passover or spring. I'll take a pen and I will write it. There's like spring. Usually there's Passover, liberty, and there is Rosh Hashanah. This is autumn. This is basically fall. And there is here Tu Bishvat. Tu Bishvat. This is 15th of Shvat. And this is a new year to the tree. A new year for the trees. nature. And there is another one, the 1st of Elul. Let's call it like first of Elul. This is the 6 months. 6 months from spring, when they give a 1/10. This is when they count 1/10. How do you say, 10% to give to the temple. So the counting is here in the first of Elul, because you were asking about the head of the year. You assumed there's only 2. You assumed, because we learned so far about 2, I'll take another color and I will. So far we have learned about spring, Passover, yes, and Rosh Hashanah. This is the opposite poles, like spring and autumn. But there are 2 more at the head of the years, which is Tu B'Shvat. This is basically in the winter. And this is spring. And this is fall or autumn. And this is the end of the summer, 1st of Elul. This is summer, is where when people count how much sheep they have, how much wheat they have, and they give 10% to the temple. So according to the Hebrew writings, there are 4 heads of the year. Like what, Fernando? Or like what?
Like the 1 to 4.
Like the 1 to 4, and the river goes out of Eden, and yes, ונהר יוצא מעדן, כן? And it becomes 4 heads. Yes, like the verse from Genesis. Very good. Very good. More questions? Impressions?
Yes, please.
Fernando? Please do go ahead, Fernando. It's very interesting what you're asking.
No, it's beautiful that we have these 4 beginning of the year, in 1 year. It's the 1 to 4 manifested in time. And I think that of all of these festivities, the Tu B'Shvat is the one that is, I do not know how to say it, but it's not the mainstream, let's say. It's not the one that is remembered for everybody. I do not found a lot of things about Tu B'Shvat, but it seems important. So, Rosh Hashanah, we listen a lot. Passover, we listen a lot, and all as well, 1st of Elul. But about Tu B'Shvat, it's not so common to listen about it. I don't know why.
It's very good. Today I said to the person that I was in the city, and I said, "Oh, it's Tu B'Shvat," and the person says, "You know what? This is not a holiday that everyone remembers." She's Israeli who lives here. She said it's not a holiday or a date that everybody remembers or give attention to. And this is very interesting, because this Tu B'Shvat is not related to people. So people tend to remember or to celebrate what is or has to do with people. Like people celebrate birthday, personal birthday. This is almost a holiday by itself. It's an institution by itself. People, when celebrate their birthday, it's an institution. And people, like you say, they remember Passover, they remember Rosh Hashanah, they remember Sukkot, they remember the Pentecost, like receiving the 10 Commandments, but nobody remembers the trees. nobody remembers nature, that there is a renewal of nature, that human is like the tree of the field. The fact nobody remembers, nobody mentions, it means that our awareness is very low, because it has nothing to do with people, and not how do you say ministries, not positions. It doesn't give people power, or it's basically we give respect to the tree because we're celebrating its birthday. We give respect to the field, to the flowers, to the almonds. We're saying thank you for illuminate our lives. It's not by mistake what you're saying. It's this is the mood here as well.
Eti, if I may ask, since it's beautiful what you are saying, and I was reading yesterday Scholem, Major Trends on Kabbalah, his book, and he has a chapter about the feminine, and he speaks that the great contribution from the Kabbalah to the Jewish, let's say, it is the emerging of the feminine. Like not only see God as a father, but as a father and a mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the nature is related with the feminine, the number 4, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this head of the year, this Tu Bishvat, that is the 15th of Bishvat, is related with this feminine, maybe, or not.
Yes, yes, indeed, because the 15th of the month is the full moon. The moon gets the most, how do you say, the moon transfer to us people on Earth, complete circle, complete light. She is illuminated, the moon is illuminated in the 15th, in the most light. Like I give it another color, and the red is no good. But the moon gives complete circle. It's like a pregnant woman, like a woman in her wedding day, if you want to look at it like this. It's the 15th of the month, 15th, as we say. In letters, it's Yah, but since this is part of the name of God, we cannot write 15th as Yah, so we write it in a different way. Instead of writing Yod, which is 10, we're writing Tet. Tet is 9. And instead of writing Hey, which is 5, we write Vav, which is 6. So we write the 15th in a different combination, and we call it 2. Instead of Yah, we call it 2 because this is part of the name of God. So if we want to indicate dates, we don't use the word Yah, because in Israel, the Hebrew tradition is not to use letters to count. I mean, we don't not use numbers to count, so we use letters. But since 15 is part of the name of God, we use something else, and not to mention his name on a date, just to imply. So we say Tu Bishvat, the 15th of Shvat, Tu Bishvat. Is it clear?
Yes.
Thank you. And it's indeed, how do you say, there's the element of celebrating nature and the feminine side, the soft side, not the harsh side of the father, the judgment, the institution, but love and softness and acceptness. Yes. I once saw a painting of Christmas in the late 1800s, and Christmas tree And the painter had a very interesting perspective. It was a tree inside of the room, yes, December, in the North Hemisphere. Everybody was dressing quite nice, but around the tree were dancing only mothers and children. Who is missing? I ask myself, what is the perspective of the painter? Christmas tree decorated, and around the tree are dancing mothers with children. And who is missing?
The
The
father.
Father.
The father. Yes, the father. So you see what kind of perspective is it? So what is associated with nature in holidays, with expressing time, has to do with the mother. The mother is, how do you say, is a culture carrier. Because the mother sits with the children, usually she reads for the children, she dances with the children in the birthday or in the kindergarten. And even in the late 19th century, I hope I will find it again and I can post it somewhere, that the mother is like, this is the aircraft carrier. We look now at the industry of war and we see aircraft carrier. It's a huge thing. It contains a lot of helicopters, a lot of manpower, a lot of airplanes. But the mother is like aircraft carriers. The children one day will fly from the nest, and the mother, she is carrying them and she is celebrating with them the holidays. It doesn't matter what tradition, but she is with them. She is the soft part. She is the emotions, and she dresses the children and attend their emotions. The father is like more financial, and if there are no problems, something severe is happening, he's not in the picture if there's no crisis. So this is interesting what you said, Fernando, about it's more feminine. Yes, and the Talmud is mentioning it, but for hundreds of years they kept it in, so to speak, only in the books, and only in the 15th, 16th century, 16th centuries, 1500 and something, in the time of Luria, in the time of the Renaissance in Italy, there is a renewal of celebrating the holidays for the tree. It comes with the Renaissance, this remembering. Renaissance is to be born, rebirth. How do you say Renaissance? We say in Hebrew, "Ledam Chadash," to reborn, to reborn. So with this reborn of culture and reborn of wisdom in Europe, in arts, in mathematics, and so with the scientific thinking, also Tu Bishvat comes with a new era. And there's like books which are written about it, and people are writing new books, gathering all kind of pieces of information, trying to compose some kind of a draft of relating to things, like reviving the ancient spirit of the ancient ones. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it. And your description about the mothers, it's very keen to what the nature is for us, you know.
Yes.
We are not aware how it sustains us. The water, the fruits, everything that we have came
Yes,
from
yes.
nature, but we are not aware, you know.
They're very silent. I looked today and I saw the eucalyptus trees and the other trees. They're just standing there silently. And they're being trees and being green and giving shadow and giving good smell and beautiful flowers and beautiful leaves. They're just being there silent. And since they're so silent, nobody takes them seriously. because we usually to give more attention to people who shout, to make a lot of friction, they take the most of our attention. But the silent nature nobody takes seriously. But the ancient one give him a lot of respect. Him or her depends. Mother Nature, Mother Nature. Questions or
I have a
impressions?
question.
Yes.
I have a question. So, how do you celebrate this season and increase awareness?
How do we celebrate the season and increase awareness? This is
Yes.
it. Yes. So first, there is an order. There is an order that the people of the 16th century already composed for us, called Seder Tu B'Shvat, Order of Tu B'Shvat. One second, I will write it here. And like in Passover, when is the set a text and order of things to show that there is like a source to this life. Seder, Seder, Tu B'Shvat is the order of the. I will translate it. The order of the 15th of Shvat. This is basically the 11th month from spring. From spring. So in the Seder, they read a text from the Bible. There are a few verses that you shall come into the promised land. Please plant a tree that makes fruit. There's a text from Leviticus. And so there are a few verses that we read, like in Passover, there are verses that we are reading which is associated to the Exodus. Here we read verses which has to do with returning to the promised land and the request to plant and to inhabit it, not just by building, but rehab nature, refresh nature, plant more trees and relating to tree and nature. So one verse is that you shall come to the promised land, please plant tree that makes fruit because you can eat from them. So this is one verse that we read, and there's how do you say that there is a distribution that we are drinking 4 cups of wine, 4 glasses of wine. Why 4 glasses? Against 4 seasons, against the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. This is 10. This is 5. This is 6, and this is 5. I make it with numbers that people will find it easier to relate. Yod is wisdom, and against wisdom we drink wine, white wine. White wine, so 1 glass, white. And for understanding, and this is basically winter. Winter like snow, white. It is very symbolic. And then understanding. So we take a drop, a bit of red wine, and the most is white. So it is like, in a way, like a spring, because in spring we have a bit of spark of the sun and everything, all nature pops. So we take a bit a bit of red, a bit of, so to speak, red, and the rest is white. We have only the potential of the whole life in spring. And then the Vav, if wisdom is Yod and understanding is Hey, what is the Vav?
Is the six spheres?
Yes, the six spheres.
It's mercy.
Mercy,
I would
very
say.
good, very good, very good. So we have here Tiferet, the beauty of the tree, the beauty or love and mercy. And here we drink what? Half and half. Half white and half red. So it is like, make it like this. And this is half, half, half. Because the Vav is also very balanced. He has grace and mercy. The Vav is like a scale. So we have half and half white and half red. Let's say red here and white is upstairs. Because it's interesting, because when we pour them, we shall see the compositions of colors in the glass. And the last one is Malchut. I will make it here. Malchut, it's a heavenly kingdom. Heavenly kingdom. And this is completely red. And this is, in a way, reflects autumn. This is completely, let's put it the other vertical. Okay? Let's put it like this. Yes, and this is autumn or fall. Why last glass is with red wine? It's like in the autumn when the leaves are getting red and they're falling from the trees. Yes? And the winter, and this is spring, and this is summer, and this is fall, autumn. I write fall because sometimes I make mistake of how I write autumn, so I write fall. So do we see this kind? The sages has composed a pool from the ancient text, the Hebrew ancient text of the Babylonian Talmud, that were written like 1700 before our time, but from their perspective it was like 1500 years. They pull from the ancient sources, the Kabbalah in Tzfat, in Safed, in the North Galilee, and those people were pulling sources and establishing like new frame of thinking to us. Is that clear?
Yes, that's pretty amazing.
Because what is the intention of those kind of conversations, classes that we take, is always to connect us, to the source, because our daily lives and activity, and especially the times that we are living in, every source says or denies that there is intention to this life. There's one source that somehow manages everything. Everything goes against, and especially because everything go against, it's very important to have these conversations and to have those stream of thinking, because when we read them, we are reminded of that there is a great structure, there is a great order here. There's like what you say about Jill, about the, how do you say, the shift of the night watch, there's a man in charge. So there's someone who is in charge, not in terms of body, but in terms of source, which is in charge of this creation. And we tend to forget, and some people, they celebrate only their birthday and they make themselves kings to the eyes of their own, or to the eyes of the people who are their employees or family members. But this is not the intention. So when we celebrate a holiday for the trees, we remember that there is a structure and there's order here and there's a good intention. And when we read about this and we have a connection to this order, divine order, we become, how do you say, um, we become humility. How do you say? How do you say in English? Humble, humble. A person becomes humble when we look into from their glasses, from their perspectives. The person becomes very humble. Because they were also living like us. They were passing through here, and while they were passing through here for a while, they make sure to leave something that will be useful for the future generations to come. So, in a way, the scriptures, the books that they wrote for us, is like they plant a tree. So there is one way to plant a tree is to go to the field and buy a little spark of a tree. I don't know how to call it in English, like a baby tree. And we plant the tree physically in the field and we water it and we sing for it, that he will grow and be strong. There's one way, but another way to plant a tree is to grow people, babies, and to grow animals, and also to write a book and to plant it, to explain ideas. This is also to plant a tree, but in a more cognitive way. Questions?
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Eti. It's beautiful. So today is the day to plant a seed. I got an idea or an ideal to the next generation, let's say, to the world
Yes,
to come.
yes, yes. It's excellent. There's a beautiful lore in the Talmud that the Roman Kaiser, or one of his assistants, was walking here in the land, and he saw a very old man, almost 90 or 100 years old, planting a tree. And the Kaiser was amazed. He says, "Excuse me, old man, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm planting a tree." And the Kaiser says, "But you're very old. You will not be able to enjoy the tree." And the old man said, "As I came to the world and I found here planted a tree, I plant a tree for the next generations to come." And the Kaiser went down from his horse and say thank you to the old man. In other words, to plant a tree or to grow a child or to invest anything in the future or education is a great act of belief, because we don't know what will happen and what will what season this tree or this child will cross through his life. We don't know, but we believe and we are there. And what comes, comes. Questions or impressions that you would like to share? I just want to say, maybe to summarize this Tu B'Shvat is Rosh Hashanah LaIlanot, the head of the year to the trees. Rosh Hashanah LaIlanot. Ilanot are trees, but this is the language of the Talmud. Usually we meet the word etz for tree, the head of the year to the trees. Ilan has the value of 91. 91. Aleph is 1, Yod is 10, Lamed is 30, 5 is 50. 91. Like the word Amen. Amen. Like the word Ma'achal. Like Ma'achal is a tree that we can eat from. Ma'achal. Ma'achal. Or Malach. Malach, angel, also. And also 91 is the value of the days in every season. Please pay attention to the structure. 91 days we have in every season. There's a 1 year, a solar year. And then we have 4 seasons. Each one is composed of 91 days. 91, 91, 91, and 91. But it's like 91 and how do you say 1/4? 91 and 1/4. I'm just writing it here. It's 91 double 4. This is 364. Plus we have quarter of a day. It's 91 and quarter of a day. And this is basically another one. And then we come up at 365 days of a solar year. So you see, when we plant Ilan, Ilan is a tree. It symbolizes so many things, like a tree, like the word Amen, towards a loyal king. It's a fruit tree. It also symbolizes angel. Also 91 days that we have in each and every season. Also the combination of tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton is 26 and Adonai is 65, and together it's 91. So to plant a tree, Lata'at Ilan, and please look at Ilan as a value of 91, of Amen, as a food, as an angel, as a messenger, as a one season. and it's a combination of Lord, Master of the Universe, or towards Loyal King, Amen, the meaning of Amen. All of those things are enfolded in the word Ilan, which is a tree. And when we plant Ilan, tree, all of those things are merged inside. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And
Yes.
just to add one, I was looking at the math, and Ilanot in the plural form gives us 497. And since we have the lamed in front of the word, the lamed could stand for the number 3.
Excellent.
It's 30, but so it's the Rosh Hashanah for the world to come, because we can get the 500.
Excellent. This is a full hand potential. The 500, the temple. Yes? 500. Like the course of the tree of life, the course of the tree of life is 500 years. Year is illumination, so we have the perspective of the 500. Thank you so much, Fernando. Questions? Perspectives you would like to share? Usually, when children are being born in Israel, in Europe, I don't know how it is in America, when children or babies, first they start off their life as babies, and they're being born, usually the parents or the authorities are planting a tree. Is it also in North America and in South America as well? Is this tradition as well?
I haven't heard that at all for here. I've not heard anybody do that before.
Mhm. And Fernando, how is it in South America when children are being born babies? Do they plant a tree for them?
In some places, yes, they can plant a tree. In the people that live in the countryside, that live more in the farms, used to do this around here.
Mhm. Thank you so much for this perspective. It is interesting because the land here of Israel was not inhabited for 2,000 of years since the destruction of the temple, since the time of the Roman Caesars. There was no almost settlement here. I mean, there were a few people, and there were like movements here, Crusaders and Mamelukes, and all kinds of armies moved here. But real urban settlement was not here. 100 years ago, or maybe 120, 150 years ago, when people started like coming to the land from all kinds of places in the world, because the locals were stressing the Hebrews. They came here, and the first thing that they do, they raise funds from other Hebrew people all over the world, and to buy land from the locals, and to plant trees. And to plant trees, it was the first mission of people who came here, because there's nothing here, there's just sand. And to enable people to live in this part of the world, we need to have trees and shadow, and slowly to build a civilization. So this was the main object of the people who came here first time, and and they brought with them these beautiful books that were written in the 16th century. And the first teachers that taught in Hebrew, because there was a, in a way, problem 100 years ago, 120, 10 years ago, there was an interesting 110. There was a problem here in the land. Nobody spoke Hebrew. People, the Hebrew was like a holy language of which you read the Torah. And people came to the land from all kinds of places. If they came from Europe, they spoke French. Some people spoke German, some spoke English, um, and other languages. Some lived in Arab speaking countries. So people came, Russian, yeah. So in Yiddish is a combination of German and Hebrew, or Ladino. Ladino is a combination of Latin and Hebrew. So people were here from many places, from many cultures, and they were speaking many languages, and there was no consent of which in what language the books for children shall be written in French, in English, in Russian, Ladino. It was not clear. Yiddish, until the teachers came together and decided that the spoken, not just spoken, but the language of which children will learn in school will be Hebrew. This was a decision, but to embed the decision was a need from the teacher to write learning books, because people learn from other languages. And here we have interesting combination that while planting here the trees, people already are moving from speaking other languages to teaching Hebrew. And then we have, like, in a way, what does it mean to build a civilization? This is also another perspective, is to speak Hebrew. But it's a long topic for itself. I just expanded the relation of why there was like the first good deed that people came here to an unsettled land is to plant trees and then to revive the language, to pull from the well of history the Hebrew words and to water the life here with the Hebrew letters.
Beautiful. And the seeds is the yod, is the very letter that is in all letters, Hebrew letters.
Yes.
So plant a tree is like to plant a letter, a Hebrew letter.
Yes. Yes. Like now, yes. Yes. To plant a tree is to plant a Hebrew letter. Yes. It's the letter that will give shade later and life. And this is it. This is it. Like we are planting letters in the hearts of people. This is interesting what we do here. We learn the Hebrew letters and we plant like a forest and orchards in the hearts and the minds of people. This is what we do, I guess. Questions or thoughts that you would like to share with us?
I just think that it just, especially today's conversation, just gives like more meaning and makes life feel more purposeful, especially when it comes to my thoughts about things that I would want to teach my grandkids. And so I really appreciate today. I thank you very much for it.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, dear Jill. This is yes. People who teach other people, the Lord says that the person who teach another person, he plant trees for many, many generations ahead. So there's a great deed, a good deed, a mitzvah to teach another person, to teach another child a letter, an idea, an idiom, a concept. Because with those verses, concept, they will move in their lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful, and I'm sorry that I saw that you brought some study from the Exodus, but you opened this window and it's infinite, so we could not come back to the Exodus, but I hope that this week we could read that passage that you brought.
Thank you so much. This is how life goes. We prepare, and comes. And this is, since it was like, how do you say, the call of the heart. So we're listening to the call of the heart. And everything is fine and beautiful. And I would like to wish you beautiful summer in the South Hemisphere and beautiful illuminating winter and slowly approaching to spring and warm-hearted relations with others.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jill,
Thank
Andrea.
you, Fernando. Thank you. I never
Thank you.
say the last person's name, but I hear you calling Aunt Andre, and I see Zeno.
Yes,
But thank you.
it. Yes, this is how do you say, another name, like how do you say, Twitter account under Zeno. He was a sage, an ancient sage. So this is the name of the ancient sage. This is a Twitter account, and the real name is Andre. So thank you so much,
Okay.
Jill.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.